Patricia knows quite a lot about the conditions Ressa spoke about in her Nobel lecture earlier today. Welcome, Patricia.
Hello, my name is Patricia, and for more than a decade, I worked for a small independent news agency named Rappler. I'm a trauma reporter. It means that I report about terrible things that happen because those things shouldn't have happened and shouldn't happen again. And then, 5 years ago, the man who would become the president of the Philippines promised the deaths of his own people. The terrible became ordinary, to thundering applause. Now I'm going to tell you what terror looks like. Once, I stood outside a house where 5 men had been killed. The families gathered outside. Please, they pleaded, tell us who the dead men are. The cops refused, shouted at one mother, shoved another daughter, and then it rained, hard and heavy. People ran and the cops laughed. See, said one police officer. He pointed to the sky. See, even God is on my side. Once, I spoke to the families of young men who had been killed in the drug war. They called the deaths executions. One father refused to put his name on the record, but his wife told me to use hers. She said it was the one thing she could do for her dead son. Once, I sat across vigilantes who told me that the cops had ordered them to kill. I couldn't talk to the cop they named because he refused to comment. I couldn't talk to the families of the dead because they were in hiding. Isn't it strange, one of the vigilantes told me, that it's the families of the dead who have to run. I don't live with terror every day. They do. One wake was empty of mourners because every neighbor was afraid to be seen paying respects. One teenager dropped out of school to trail her mother because she was afraid mama would be shot next. One woman who had just buried a son stood outside a police station standing guard because another son had been arrested and she was afraid he wouldn't live through the night. In my country, anyone can be called a terrorist. Addicts, activists, lawyers, journalists. But terror is a complicated word. I'll give you the other word for it, one that is less bound by politics and privilege. The word is fear. Fear is what makes you faint at a police station in front of your sobbing son. Fear comes to a father when he kneels on the linoleum floor, mopping up his son's blood, saying, "Sorry, I didn't fight back." Sometimes it makes you apologize to coffins, or withdraw witness statements, or refuse to testify. Sometimes it stops you from asking questions, or publishing your byline, or sharing the story of a boy who said, "Please, arrest me instead." We published these stories and many others. We were called liars and fake news. Our license was put in jeopardy. Many advertisers disappeared. My bosses were charged, arrested, and convicted. Our reporters were banned from the palace. They were trolled and threatened. And because we are women, the threats included rape. Maria Ressa said, "Keep going. Tell the stories." At great personal cost, she did not run, she did not hide, she did not compromise. And because she did not, those of us in the field could tell the truth and know she had our backs. Rappler is not the only news agency in the Philippines exposing corruption and the brutalities of the drug war. Neither are they the only journalists working under threat. Journalism is a tradition. And the line that Rappler holds is one that was drawn decades ago by men and women who stood at the barricades and said, "This far, no further." When brutalities are commonplace, the job of everyday journalism is resistance. Today, after the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Maria Ressa and Dmitry Muratov. We celebrate a world that understands that no democracy can exist with a citizenry terrified into silence. Tomorrow, we will go home, to our desks, to the field, to newsrooms all over the world with the awareness that even if we're afraid, we do not tell our stories alone. Thank you.